just a good old boy.
Well, we broke something else. This stuff just isn't made good anymore. And this steel in this thing is so weak. It is unreal. What happened was I had the square bell accumulator on the front of the 4710. This is an adapter that we have that goes from Euro style hookup, which I prefer, to the skid steer style hookups. Okay, well, these, the pieces that your pins go down through, like over here, broke completely out of the back of this thing. The bolts that goes through the center of that got bent, and one broke off, and they peeled out right here. We've already fixed this part and they were flexed out like that, but the whole structure failed. So we reinforced it with steel plate right here. Well, cut it and welded it back around through there and reinforced it so that way that can't move. Turn. There you go. But yeah, if somebody had been underneath this thing when it structurally failed, they could have got hurt bad around it, and it's just unexcusable. This thing is, well, I got when I got the tractor. It's it'd be 2 in the spring. 2 years old in the spring. The entire structure failed, doing something it shouldn't have failed under. Yeah, and it's never locked right. That's one other thing, is when these come down, they've never fastened the way they should. These bolts, the way it's designed, they tighten up on these and you can't even move them, so you have to leave them a little loose, because the only way that they don't tighten up is if you get a bolt long enough, the threads are all the way through these. Here, let me see that. Let me see it. Threads are all the way through these pieces here to where the bolt goes through to slide, and you can't butt them up against one another or tighten this down, because if you tighten this side down, then it mashes this up against this and it won't move. So you have to leave it loose, and if you get a bolt long enough to go touch the threaded rod bolt that goes up through there, then the springs don't compress like they're supposed to.
See that bolt?
And work. Yeah, I see it. They don't compress and work like they're supposed to, and it's a horrible design flaw. This thing was designed terribly. Whoever come up with the locks and everything, they're not right. The steel in it is weak. I reckon it must be Chinese steel. It's not holding up. So I definitely don't like this thing. I should have called Titan. There it is, Titan Attachments, and made them give me a brand new one over this, but they'd probably just give me the same dang thing again, and it's not worth my time. I guess I'm just gonna fix this one the right way, my way, and then we won't have the issues anymore, hopefully. But it's just a shame. Just a shame. What do you do? So I got a new rod. I'm gonna cut the new piece off, and then we're gonna make one to go on it. The tap on.
I have to get back.
No, you're fine. Hey, what do you know? It wasn't hard to get off. Perfect. New rod. I may have to make 2 of these because the other one looks like on the other side it might be bent too. We'll have to wait and see. Always make sure you put a tap on to screw off after you cut something, a rod or bolt or anything, so that way it'll fix the threads as it comes off. Got the new threaded rod in there. Now we gotta. Yeah, I'm done it with the router. Now we gotta put this thing back on. See, this just slides over this. And like I said, if you tighten it down, this can't move, which isn't going to allow it to compress the spring. Because the handle attaches to this, and that's what pushes down. You would just have a direct push down. You wouldn't have any spring action to it, which you need. There's one fixed.
There's one fixed?
Yep, there's one fixed. Now we gotta get the other one out. Well, I had to make another one. If y'all can see that there's bent. So we had to make 2. Got the other one on. I just need to adjust it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're getting it done, ain't we, bud?
Yeah. That was good. See?
Stink bug, look. When you look at things, I don't know why we've got so many things now. There goes nothing. Now nothing touches the threads in the center. These are actually don't have threads in the middle.
Yeah.
But you can't get those unless you go back to the deep tighten, I guess. 'Cause I couldn't find them anywhere.
Here's a small one. Make 2 of them.
It's tight.
Where are your ones?
Might explain it. Alright, we got to get this thing back in here. Set it right there. Maybe y'all can see exactly how this thing works. Slide this in here. Bam. Turn it like that to get it in there. Alright, look out. I'm gonna put thread locker on these. Screw them in.
I'm gonna put this in the trash.
Okay, we'll put the can over yonder. Put some thread locker on these and leave them loose. That way they can't tighten up. Maybe it'll hold it in place. I don't know. See, if you tighten these down, or even get them close to tight, they'll... There. There, I got it back in. Hopefully this thing's gonna work. I don't know if it will or not.
This thing going to work.
Are you filming YouTube too?
What?
Are you filming YouTube too?
Huh? I'll fix this right here.
Oh, you are? You trying to fix it? It looks like you're doing a good job if you get the tap on there. What you gotta do? Tighten that up so it can't move? Huh? You there?
I'm trying to fix this. So hard to do.
Got it on there, tighten it up.
Hope this works.
I do too. I hope it'll fix it. You're doing a good job.
No, it didn't.
Yep. Well, So Dad's not gonna have to fix anything anymore. I'm just gonna let you do it all now. Yep, that sounds good to me.
I just tied it off.
I'll just be like Papa and Pa, and I'll just pull it up and tell you when there's something wrong, and walk off and leave it.
Now I can fix it all by myself.
Yeah, you fix it all by yourself.
Hope this works.
I hope it works too. You're the man. You're the one behind it. It looks like you did a good job. We'll go see how quick I can tear it up now.
Those the baby kittens. You want to see them?
Oh, there's baby kittens? Oh yeah, there's some baby kittens, ain't they?
Yeah.
There's 4. Are they 4? Yeah, there's 4 out there.
And that's one.
They running everywhere, ain't they?
Yeah, they're all one.
Can't let Blue get them, can we?
No.
No.
We can spank Blue. We get some.
You gonna spank Blue for being bad?
Yeah.
Okay, now that I got it really adjusted. I think it's working probably the best it ever has as far as locking on it. Now that we got all that changed, so I shortened the actual bolts up from the originals to tighten the springs up some. It seems to have helped. It's actually functioning more like it should, I would think. Now there's a little bit of resistance when you go to lock it. Another thing too is getting these things to stay up. They kept falling down. These springs were too loose. Everything on this thing is just a mess, and it wasn't just that it wasn't adjusted properly. I've already adjusted everything on this thing before. These bolts that was in here, rods, the originals were too long, and they wouldn't allow it to function the way it needed to. They would bind up in here, then they wouldn't, they were too long once you compressed them down where they needed to be. So I made them shorter, and they're working better now. The pins never work like they should. All this flopped around. No! Flopped around. And this here has never been heavy enough. None of it has. So we got this reinforced now. The pins are fixed and functioning like they should function. I would like the skid steers feel now. They're still not as good as I'd like them to be. I don't like this design at all. These should have had a spacer put in between them. Where the bolts are, it's a little bit thicker than the plates, so these bolts could be tightened down, and they don't have it and fixed better. I may do that eventually. To the next thing. Supposedly this thing won't work. Dang it. Every time I come out here, there's more of these dang things. It's like, how many times a guy got to spray some dang wasp before they die? I mean, I come out here and I spray nest after nest after nest after nest after nest, and I still keep finding new nest and more wasps. Anyway, this thing won't kick on, supposedly. It's about shot. It's a Campbell Hosfeld compressor. We bought it used. The thing's about had it. Let me try flipping this thing. Really? In case you've been wondering, here's where the preservative applicator is. It's just, I got it stuck out here for now. There's the bar. Like I said, I got to make this frame new. I got to make the frame for it new because that baler is different than the other one, so I'm gonna have to make a new little frame probably. Well, I hadn't stuck it up there, but I'm just looking at it. I'm almost certain I'm gonna have to make a new frame. I may even mount it on the back instead, where AGCO actually has theirs. But yeah, that's where it's been. You got to have a continuous running pump. Some of these ATV pumps will cut off after they build a certain amount of pressure. They're not a continuous recirculation pump like this one is. So the boom sprayers typically, or boomless sprayers, either one, will typically have a continuous running pump. They won't never shut off. It's just the ones that will not have the continuous pump that recirculates, because what it does is it just runs the fluid back down into the tank and basically like a regular sprayer on a tractor would, circulates it. And they're designed to keep running all the time. I've just got the return, pressure gauge, regulator. Well, actually, no, this is the return. That is the... What did that go? Oh, this went to the booms. Never mind. Yeah, this goes to the boom. This is the hose ain't hooked up. That's why I was confused. This is the return, comes out of the regulator and goes back. And that's it. I got a filter on it. Same, and then the tank. The tank for the sprayer, somebody was asking how big a tank you should get. This one is just the one off the ATV sprayer. I didn't buy one. It is a plumb full 20-gallon tank. I would say really you need probably 30-gallon tank. Round baler, you're probably going to want a 40, somewhere in there, because you use a lot more. Square baler, if you do cut it on and off some and don't spray the entire field, that tank's alright. It does a good job, depending on how much hay you're baling with it. Typically I just spray the wood lines or something if we use it. But, I gotta order another pallet of net. I didn't use that one up. I forgot about that. We're gonna have to get some more net. But this thing, I like it. Really do. Love to see them put. I was thinking about this the other day. They need to extend some fins out to here, kind of to direct the flow of hay a little bit better as it comes in, because a lot of times it'll want to run up the sides and pull over, and that can cause it to start to wrap sometimes. They need like a little fin here to kind of guide it in there. I was wondering, what would it do if they put a roller wind guard on the front of this thing to push the hay down? How would that change the flow of this thing instead of this design? Because a lot of times it doesn't compress it enough and it'll come up too high. A lot of people always say if you see the top of the augers, it'll you're good. But once these come up, well, these things here don't have a lot of down pressure. My thing is what if they put a roller wind guard on this thing? What would that do? And another thing I would think would be cool if they did is if they actually made like a pre-charge chamber in there with these pulling the hay from the pre-charge chamber up, and then maybe have like a little rotor or something that runs straight across right here to pull the hay in there, and just continue the auger straight across. Put a roller wind guard on it, then take the plunger bearings. I'm always getting these crazy ideas. And make this thing like a large square baler and have the rails down the side with the plunger bearings exposed and greasable. And then you, if a bearing starts getting loose or something, you just pop it off, put a new one on. Wouldn't that be great? That would make these things, I don't know what they would do as far as eating hay, but I would think it would make them just sick. And then have, one thing I have a complaint with this thing is the access anymore, because with these 40s versus the 37, you get down in the top. This part here folded back, so it made it a little bit easier to get in there from each side. Maybe make this to where it can unpin and come open somehow. This here is another area that I think that Hesston needs to change, is your chain access. You have to pull this, and this out. Then you've got to try to unless you take the roller wheels off and this front clip, then you got to try to wedge this cover off out the side, and it scratches the paint and everything on. I don't know why they don't split this thing right here and make this thing to where it just folds back like this thing. Vermeer had a decent like this, just like that. Then you get in there to your chains, do all your service work, and I would actually like to see them use spring tensioners instead of these slot style tensioners on these balers for the pickup chains. The pickup chains probably could use a little beefier chain and sprocket that's down in there, And then instead of the slot style adjusters, have a spring style adjuster in there to pull tension down on it instead of having a slot adjustment. Like, well, you can't get hell. These have a slot in there for those chains that move up and down, which that one's not bad. I actually like that design on that. But on the pickup chains, it would be nice if they put spring adjustments on it and have the spring, like on the 40s did with the belt, come out right here, and you could just tighten it up if you needed to, and then flip this open so you can get to everything. That would make these things so much better. And then have, like I said, the deflectors to pull the hay in. They did a good job with adding the extra tines. The fork angle that feeds up in there is nice, but I think they could do a lot more if you had basically like a miniaturized, basically make it like that, like I said, with a pre-charge, and have the fork do that, and then make this pipe going across with a feed rotor, little one in there, and it flick the hay and feed it up in there, beef everything up, maybe the pickup head out a little bit. I think that would really help.